Well, hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to my little gardening show. I wanted to take you along, give you an update on my Bountiful Harvest grow boxes and the lettuce that I have going in them. And I want to show you how I'm going to go about feeding these plants. So far so good. I haven't had any baby lettuces die on me yet, which is a good thing. Again, I've got, I think about 180 starts of little gem lettuce, which is a really nice romaine type that's heat tolerant. It's a nice variety to grow really through the summer. I know my dad liked it a lot. He tended to, each little head could was a pretty good meal for him. So he'd come down and cut heads and stuff out of the garden. We got a fair amount. This lettuce is about a little less than a week in these boxes. So now really the challenge is, getting these to grow under artificial light, because it's so cold outside, as far as sitting these outside, that's a no-go. We don't have any kind of window ledges we can sit these boxes on for them to get any kind of natural light. So my plan is to get these going, make sure they get a little bit bigger, a little bit more of a root on them, and then I'm going to get these, I'm thinking I'm going to take the boxes out to the greenhouse out of Dad's house, and because we upgraded the heater. He bought a new heater for it. Try to get these up in the greenhouse so they can get the sunlight. Sunlight's really important because a lot of the minerals and things, plants need a certain light spectrum for photosynthesis and process of nutrients and things like that. And so sunlight is really the best thing I can give these plants at this point. If we were in the early spring, I could start these for a couple weeks in here and then put them on a garden cart, move them in and out. It's typically what I'll do with my starts initially, and then get them out to the greenhouse. But the key thing is getting them sunlight, so that they can really reach their full potential. I want to get them out there. But in the meantime, as far as how I'm going to go about feeding them, I want to show you that real quick. So what I've got here is my Mittleider mineral mix. What this is basically triple 15 nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. It's in a substrate form here. Added to that is the Mittleider micronutrient packs, which is like the other, I think, like 13 or 13 minerals, or I'm trying to think how many minerals are in here. Anyway, this is in powdered form. All of this stuff is like naturally sourced, mined. It's basically minerals. Some of the minor stuff that's not in like a triple 15. A triple 15 is like the big three. The big three minerals that are key to plant growth. But if you want nutrient-dense food, you need the other elements as well. So I've got this. I've already got that mixed in with this bag of mineral mix or fertilizer that I have. The only thing I don't have mixed in with this is my Epsom salt. And I don't have that mixed in because what tends to happen is once you put the salt in with that, it draws in moisture from the air and gets liquidy, and that fertilizer will get real clumpy, it'll get soupy even, as that salt absorbs the moisture in the air, and so it becomes a real pain. So the easiest way to keep this user-friendly is keeping that salt separate, keeping the Epsom salt separate from the rest of the minerals in the triple 15, and mix it on the fly. So typically, the easy way of doing this is, I think it's a 10-ounce nutrient packet, which you can get online. That's pretty cheap, 13 to 15 bucks will get you 2 packets, which will make 50 pounds of plant food, basically, fertilizer, Mittleider fertilizer mix. So 25-pound bag of triple 15, 10-ounce packet of the micronutrients, and then 4 pounds, I believe, of the Epsom salt is the ratio of all of that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to mix up some, it's basically called Mittleider Constant Feed. It's basically the weekly feed, just a diluted version of it, because these seedlings don't need a whole lot yet. And so what we're going to do is, I've got a 1.5 gallon pail. Typically what you do is you get, I think it's about 3 gallons of water. Like if I had an empty kitty litter, like giant kitty litter tote, I could fill that with 3 gallons of water and then about 1 ounce of minerals. Stir that all together, and the substrate, the minerals will mix with the water. There'll be some substrate at the bottom, which is fine. And then take a cup with either a hole or a couple holes drilled in it and run it over the seedlings, and apply that, as needed, at least once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on how things are going. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got the 1.5 gallon pail, so it's going to be about 1/2 ounce of minerals, 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce. There's, again, this whole thing is pretty forgiving. So that's what we're going to do here real quick. Alright, so to make this mix, I've got my water. And I need about one ounce equals about 2 tablespoons. And so since I'm using about 1.5 gallons of water instead of 3 gallons, all I really need is a tablespoon of this fertilizer mix. Now there's an online calculator where you can convert pounds to tablespoons and things like that. So basically, to get the ratio right with the Epsom salt, it's about I think 1/10 of a 0.10 of a tablespoon of Epsom salt to 1 tablespoon of the rest of the mix is kind of the ratio. I'm going to kind of just go with probably just a dash of Epsom salt is really all I'm going to need, along with this, to create my diluted fertilizer mix. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I got a little tablespoon here. Just gonna get that and mix that up a little bit finer. That's pretty good. And drop this in the water. I go over here to my Epsom salt. And again, this is pretty forgiving, so it's not going to be super exact. So we got everything in there. What we'll want to do now is stir that up. Which I've got my soil tool. See if I can find something else here real quick. I'll have to get a rod or something, but I've got this just generic trowel. What I want to do is bust up that substrate a little bit. Get this all incorporated. And all of these minerals are water soluble, so it should incorporate pretty well. Next thing I've got is this little cup with a hole drilled in there. I've got other cups that have different size holes. We'll just try this one out and see. I'm going to put my finger over the hole so it doesn't drip. Just dip my cup in there. And then I'm going to just run. That's about good. Gonna go over these seedlings. I'm not opening this up all the way because I don't want to wash out the potty mix from here. And what I'll probably do is get me another cup and drill a bunch of tiny holes in it, so it's a little bit more precise, or just a tinier hole in the middle, because this is about a 1/4 inch hole that I've got right now, so I'm having to kind of regulate what I do here with my finger. But So doing this, I can quickly water or apply the fertilizer mix, the plant food, to my lettuce. So that's how you do that. So again, these aren't going to need a lot of water because it's relatively cool down here. There's not like wind blowing over these boxes. There's not sun hitting them. So I just kind of monitor it, and the plants will pretty much tell me what to do. If they're looking like they need more food, you know, I'll apply the constant feed, the mineral mix, to them more frequently. But right now, about once a week is going to be probably about right, and we'll just see how that goes. Once we get these out to the greenhouse, we'll probably fill the reservoir. That way Dad didn't have to worry as much about them drying out and things like that. And it'd be critical to have the heat, again, because the higher the temperature, you know, up to about 80 degrees or whatever, the faster these are going to grow, the better they're going to do. To show you a little example of that, let me show you the leftovers here in this other tray. It's pretty amazing what just a little cover can do. I mean, these look a little bit brighter, a little bit bigger even than what we've got over here. And part of that was the transplant shock, but a big part of it is that these are kind of in this microclimate here. My heat mat is keeping up. I mean, it's 72 degrees. I had that set at 76. It hasn't quite been able to get up to that. So this thing's running pretty constant. But overall, things are going pretty well. So I guess that's it for now. Until next time, happy gardening.